health stigma is still there. I remember talking about, and I will also mention it later, anytime you tell someone maybe you should see a therapist or maybe you should seek help, then that person starts feeling like, what do you mean? Am I that bad? Am I mad? So we find that we still haven't embraced mental health care. We still haven't embraced seeking help. And we are at a point where, as we will see with the statistics, we are at a point where we need to demystify this issue about mental health so that we can be able to help ourselves and really help others. So today I'm going to share about what to know about mental health. Wellness, we start with wellness. The World Health Organization defines wellness as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So we don't just say because you don't have a headache or you don't have a broken arm or you don't have, you're not taking any medication, you are at complete wellness. As we will see, as we progress, there is a lot that goes to that mental wellness, including spirituality, social wellness, and things like that. So that is the definition of wellness. It is not just the physical, which most of us look at. So long as you don't have those major conditions, then you say, oh, I'm okay, I'm healthy, and I am in my area of wellness. It doesn't work like that. The World Health Organization says it's not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So the total wellness wheels looks like that. We have the emotional wellness, intellectual, physical, social, environmental, financial, and spiritual. So we always strive to gain miles on each of these areas. Sometimes you're spiritually okay and physically not. Sometimes you're socially okay, financially not. It is a wheel we always try to balance, and that is what we strive towards. I don't think there's at any point we can say we have achieved total wellness. It's a struggle, it's every day. And one time you're better at this, the other time you don't feel like praying, the other time you need someone to pull you from your spiritual hole. Sometimes you don't feel like you want to engage socially and things like that. So it is a struggle and it is work in progress every day. And we shouldn't be ashamed that we are struggling. And to be honest, when you're feeling ashamed, the people around you are also having their own struggles. So let us embrace the struggle, let us embrace the hustle of being okay. It is growth, it is progress every day. And we shouldn't be ashamed of it. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. It is the base of all other aspects of wellness and often very ignored. As I said, sometimes we look at just our financial. If you're financially okay, you are thinking, I have it all, I can be able to manage. Mainly as human beings, we look at those two aspects, the financial and the physical. So long as those are doing okay, we tend to feel like we are managing or we are doing well. But the emotional, the psychological, and the social well-being, it is the one that carries all the other aspects. I remember giving an example in St. Paul's and saying, I have ever dealt with someone who had breast cancer. And when I was talking to this lady, I asked her, I happened to mention when you are dealing with a terminal illness, and she told me, hold on there. It is not terminal illness. Who is it terminating? Me, I don't have a terminal illness. I just have a breast illness that I'm going to deal with. That with that kind of an attitude, you get to see that person pulling up faster than someone who is still struggling mentally to accept their condition and stuff like that. The same things with, as you all know, things we have dealt with like HIV. when you see people accept and they mentally prepare themselves for the journey, they take the journey more easily and they are able to do the rest. When you are mentally okay, you're able to embrace your friends. You can't give anything you don't have. So if you're mentally stable, you embrace your friends, you're able to support your friends and family and things like that. So it is very important that we take care of that mental wellness. But because it's really hidden, our emotions, our mental struggles are really hidden, we rarely get to take care of it. But if you remember, it is parallel to your physical health, and it is as important, actually, maybe sometimes even more important than physical health, then you would be able to put the effort to grow, to learn, to deal, and to unpack all the baggages that you have so that you can be very okay in that area and be able to deal with the other aspects. There are a number of myths in regarding this issue. As I said, I have seen therapists who say they don't mark the doors of their counseling centers. Like, you don't say this is a counseling center, because people don't want to be seen still going to the counseling room. Sometimes I will receive calls of people saying, can we not meet in your office? Let us meet somewhere. And then when we are, maybe a friend comes along, they will think we are having some tea. So it is the myths that make us have stigma and discrimination on people who have mental issues. And to be honest, I remember when you were growing up, there was a saying, and I think it is still there, that, forgive me for saying this, everybody is mad. It is only the level of madness that differs. So it is not that madness, it is everybody is struggling with something. There's nothing like perfect. So we all have our struggles, and we need to embrace our struggles. It's part of growth. The way you get a flu is the way you can get stressed and overwhelmed. The way you can get diabetes is the way you can get a mental condition. And when you start comparing that part with the physical part, it makes it easy to understand, and we will continue looking at it. So some of the myths are, and I will want you to share more. Mental health is still misunderstood. Many cannot define it. If you ask what is mental health, and I'm sure we are at that point, most of us, if you ask what is mental health, we would still struggle to define it. It is seen as a spiritual problem rather than a medical one. You've had it is out of witchcraft. We've seen people being taken for deliverance. We've seen people looking at demons being exorcism and stuff like that. So it is, in our culture, it's still seen as a spiritual problem rather than a medical one. It is still seen as permanent. So last week I got a call from a friend to someone who is struggling with a mental condition. And when I asked why are they not seeking help, I was told someone has told them that when they start taking this medication, it will be forever. So there are still those meds, and now that person stops looking for help. And if they don't look for help, then they are going to a point where they are going to take the medication forever, while they would have prevented taking the medication forever. Addiction is lack of willpower. In our families, we see people struggling with addictions. Nowadays, it varies from alcohol, weed, pornography, and stuff like that. So we are thinking, why can't you just tell yourself no? It's not as easy as telling yourself no. It is more than that. And that is why sometimes we take them for rehab, and then they relapse, and then you are so angry as a family that really, with all that money, and you are a grown-up and you started drinking as a grown-up. It is not just lack of willpower. Addiction is an illness. It's a mental health condition that needs a lot of treatment and support. These conditions are uncommon. That is why you hear people saying that family, your family wanakuanga hivyo, they have issues, mental issues. Well, to be honest, it can happen to anybody at any time, like any other illness that can crop up in our physical being. It is a sin or a punishment from God. Yeah, it is, as previously explained, is a spiritual problem. Seeking mental help is weakness. When you go to look for counseling or to talk to somebody else, you are seen as a weak person, especially with our male gender. You are seen as a weak person, like you can't hold it up, like why can't you sort it out? Forgetting that every time you are looking at an issue from the outside, it looks very easy to deal with. If you came and told me this and this and this and that, this is happening, I will give you solutions of the way I would deal with it. But when you are in the issue, you're not able to be as objective. And that is why you need help to deal with it. You are very subjective because you have feelings, you have fears, you have anxieties attached to that problem. So it is not weakness, it's just asking for someone, hold my hand as I cross this, just as the way you go to hospital and say, I have a flu that is not going. Mental health is equal to insanity. It is not true. Mental health is not madness. Mental health is a condition. Mental health can be positive, it can be negative. You strive towards positivity. Sometimes it's negative, we are stressed, we are overwhelmed. If we don't deal with it, we completely go to depression, psychosis, and stuff like that. But if we embrace, we are stressed and we are working towards it, we go towards positivity, to self-awareness and living life, a balanced life. So maybe you share with me other myths that you may know about, two or three myths that you may know about or you've had in your culture, in your village.
Yeah, people can raise up their hands and get opportunity to speak and say what they know, what they've had.
Yes, please talk to me, because I said when you are on this side, you feel very lonely.
Mental health, umechizi. Hebu sema hiyo umechizi.
Catherine, raise. Catherine?
Yeah, mental health ni kurogwa or possession.
Yes, those are myths. It is not witchcraft, it is a mental health problem. You are just sick. Somebody else? Daniel?
Yeah, there's also that myth of mental health. It's like you are paying for the sins of your ancestors. Huh? People like walifanya madhambi kitambo, sasa wewe ndio unazilipia.
Wewe ndio uko na hiyo curse.
Kabisa.
But we all know that God is a merciful God. He doesn't punish us for such. I remember, but it's something that people carry. And you see, the problem is that when that is put into context, or when people say umerogwa, then they don't get the right treatment for you. And so what happens, just like a physical illness, where if you don't get proper treatment, you deteriorate, it's the same with mental health. So they say it is spiritual, they say it is since it is a curse, and therefore what happens is you don't get proper medication, and therefore you continue deteriorating to a point where it is done.
Daniel Kitavi wanted to say something.
Yeah,
I did.
Oh, you said already? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Daniel Kiriungi. There are two Daniels. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So yes, these myths then are the sources of stigma, because we as a society don't understand mental health, and therefore we continue stigmatizing these people. If it is a curse, you don't want to be associated with them. If it is contagious, you don't want to be associated with it. And we continue shunning them away and stigmatizing them and their families, and it becomes not a good thing and a cycle. So the facts are everyone to some degree comes with varying degrees of unhealthiness, unresolved issues, and the possibility of blind spots from our upbringing. As I said, kila mtu ako na issues. If you look back, there are things you do that are not just okay, that you would need to work on. Once in a while, you'll become stressed, therefore with anger issues. All those are issues that would need to be dealt with. There are people who just have resentment. There are people who are violent. All those are emotional issues that are in the bracket of mental health that would be need to be dealt with. Unfortunately, you will see someone who have anger issues stigmatizing someone who has depression or someone who has schizophrenia. Everyone has some past, a personal history, life experiences that impacts relationships, psychosocial in the present. So what happened in our past, your background and life experiences affect the way you behave. You learned from it, it taught you something, it gave you phobias. All those things are things that they don't go away. Okay, that is a different group. Time does not heal. It only helps in fading memories. So you have to deal with issues. If you don't deal, you go accumulating them. That is where some of the mental health issues come from. Some unresolved past issues weigh you down in the present, and often you don't see it. I have had all that. We often avoid dealing with these issues head on, thinking, well, maybe it will just go away. As I said, we are very good as a society, and our male counterparts are even better in this, in hiding things. You just, you have lost your loved one, you have lost a parent, and you, as a man, you just hide it there, you don't grieve. So you are not supposed to cry, you are not supposed to show emotions. So you hide it there, then it starts eating you later. When it starts eating you later, you can't open up to anybody because you're not supposed to share issues. You have issues with your wife. You're not supposed to share it. You'll be seen as weak and stuff like that. So let us embrace handling issues. And the best way to embrace it is to realize that it is not if issues come, it is when issues come. It is part of our life. Like, there is no perfect. Even Jesus Christ said there's nothing like perfect. You have to encounter this. I don't know whether you have heard that saying of, if your road is very smooth, then you should realize you are working together with Satan, because if you are walking through opposite directions, then you would be bumping into him and having challenges. So these challenges are a must, and we should be able to embrace them and grow with them. Mental illness is nothing to be ashamed of. It is a medical problem, just like heart disease or diabetes. There are effective strategies of preventing medical disorders, such as depression. We have preventative measures like therapy, taking care of yourself, self-awareness, self-care, and we have treatment. Though most of these mental conditions have treatment and can be managed, and people live normal, fulfilling lives. The effective treatment, I have handled that. Any question up to there? So we may be thinking we are very clean people and we don't stigmatize. How we stigmatize people is by labeling. Hiyo family wanakwanga hivyo, hiyo family ni ya wenda wazimu. Hiyo family, unajua kulikuwa mtu alikuwa amejinyonga au ujinyonga. That is labeling. Tell them to snap out. When you're dealing with someone who is depressed or with an addiction, you are telling them, say someone who has had a heartbreak, and you're thinking, why are you mourning and it is gone, can you just stop, can you move on, it is not easy as we think. Belittling their conditions, it's almost the same as telling them to snap out. Kuna hiyo si kitu, si hata mimi nilikuwa na challenges kama hizo, unajua hata nilikuwa na kujua mtu mwingine mwenye had the same challenges. So belittling their conditions, giving wrong information, like what I've said, someone who is just bipolar and it is mild bipolar, and maybe they need to learn how to manage them, and you're telling them, don't go to hospital. You know, you will have, it's like asthma, you will take those drugs for the rest of your life, or it's like diabetes. That is wrong. Failure to give opportunities. You know, someone who was depressed before, or who is going through depression, and they are seeking treatment, and they are on medication, but you keep on saying, you cannot do this, you are depressed, or stuff like that. Or even in our families, you don't like, you will not give them opportunities to make decisions because unajua we uko hivo. And toxic masculinity, keeping on telling someone who is struggling, especially we do it with our men and with our boys, you are better than that. Why are you, kwa nini unashindwa na kudili, wife anakushinda kwa nini, you come to kunywa drinks Billy, stuff like that. So that is toxic masculinity. And if someone is going through stress and depression, that of you have to deal, you can do, this is how men do it, is still not the way it's supposed to be. So that is how we stigmatize, and many other ways. So look at how you don't support these people. And I will give an example. I remember on 10th when I was in St. Paul's, and I was giving statistics on how, and I said 1 in every 4 Kenyans is suffering from mental health issues. And I said, look at ourselves, 1, 2, 3, 4. The crowd laughed. And I'm giving a very, it's not a bad thing. But later on, I'm thinking, if I said that about diabetes, everyone in 4 is suffering from diabetes. So let us count ourselves, 1, 2, 3, 4. There would have been a lot of sadness in that charge. So that is how we do not understand the intensity of mental health, and that is how we are not able to extend empathy, because we still don't understand it. You can't give that empathy if you do not understand it. We still think it's something slow, it is iko too. We don't take it so seriously. What can we do to combat stigma? Talk openly about mental health. When you meet in Chama, those WhatsApp groups, those department, if you are a department head, start encouraging these talks, and start demystifying, because now you are on the know, and we know it is affecting everybody. You don't want to be the one who is being called in the morning that someone you know or someone you are dealing with has committed suicide just because you shied away from talking about things. So let us make it okay to talk about mental health. The way we stopped, or we have come a long way from the stigma of HIV, we can still come a long way, and we can still deal with this stigma. Educate yourself and others, read widely. Don't be in the same class with someone who dropped school in 4th form, in class 4, and I'm not saying they are bad, but don't be in the same class with someone who has not been taught, who has not encountered, who is not, I know you know what I mean. Don't be the same category. Read and educate yourself. You don't want to be seated with that person in the village and they're saying things and you're siding with them because you do not know. Please educate yourself. Be cautious of language. Let's not stigmatize them with our language. Treat physical and mental health equally. I've talked about that. If we took our emotional and mental health parallel to as it is parallel to our physical health, we would do more about it and we would be able to deal with it. Show compassion towards those with mental illnesses, and let others know when they are stigmatizing mental health. Ukisikia, don't laugh with them. You need to tell them, where it is not supposed to be like that. These people need compassion, they need empathy. We cannot be able to stop this stigma if we do not know what we are talking about, and we need to understand what mental health is. It is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Could be positive or negative. So as I said earlier, mental health can be positive or negative. When we talk about mental health, we just don't, and this is the challenge. When you talk about mental health, people go to the extremes. of schizophrenia, wale watu tunaonanga wakiokota makaratasi, that is where people jump into. Not knowing, you not being able to sleep at night because you are overwhelmed or you are stressed is a source of mental health issue that needs to be addressed. Mental health illnesses, on the other hand, is the general term of a group of illnesses that may impact on a person's thoughts, perceptions, feelings, and behaviors. So we have the illnesses and the general term of mental health. So let us draw the lines and be able to understand, so that even when we are explaining to the people who need to seek therapy, we are able to tell them, you are not going to be given medicine. You are just going to sort out your issue so that you don't get to a point where you are going to be taking medicine. There are many types of mental health illnesses. We have the mood disorders, anxiety disorders, personality disorders, psychotic disorders, eating disorders, trauma-related disorders, and substance abuse disorders. It is important to know this so that we stop classifying people into, we have that one term, especially in Swahili, ni mwenda azimu. She has lost it or he has lost it. Then you give the wrong information because you do not understand. You are not able to help that person because you do not understand. And we make ourselves the doctors of therapy, and it doesn't work. So let us understand these things. And as I said, read, so that you can be able to help those around you. I think we are getting to a point where you have to take that responsibility of yourself and the few around you, because we are getting those things of this person committed suicide, and you're asking, how comes I didn't see? How comes we didn't see? Or they collapse in the house, and when they go to the hospital, they are treated for depression, and you're asking, how comes we didn't see? Or they've started talking things in the house, you realize this person is not coherent at all, you can't understand what they are saying, and when they are taken to hospital, they are treated for acute depression, and you're thinking, how did I miss it? So let us be aware and learn about these things. So the statistics show that 1 out of every, actually it is 4 Kenyans has a mental health condition. Kenya ranks 5th in Africa with the cases of depression. The rate of mental health conditions in men is 5 times higher than in women. Depression is a major source of disability, according to WHO. Suicide is a leading cause of death for the age group of 15 to 29, according to the WHO. And chronic stress is linked to the 5 leading causes of death, according to the American Psychological Association. That is heart diseases, cancer, lung ailments, accidents, and suicide. What does that tell you? Somebody talk to me. What does that tell you?
Mental illness is linked to almost every physical health that we can experience. Yeah, majority of them are related.
Yeah. Now, do you understand when I say it is a basis of all these other aspects of wellness? Somebody else? Somebody else, when you look at those statistics.
Okay. Looking at the chronic stress is linked to the 5 leading causes of death. It then means that what I'm getting is we have been treating the wrong things. We treat more of the symptoms than the root cause, because some people will have issues to do with cancer. You spend millions of shillings, but actually the reason they are too much into the cancer issues or is spreading quite fast is because they are always under stress. The brain is secreting cortisol into their brain. So every single point of their life, the body is getting poisoned. It doesn't matter how much chemotherapy or radiation you may do to this person, they are not getting better. So things to do with accidents, people, we are doing statistics every time. This year, how many people died on the road. The reason why people are driving carelessly, they have lost it. So if we went back and asked how healthy is our society, even those road accidents could reduce. When you think about even the one on alcoholism, so many people have run into it because their mental state is not right. Then they go ahead and drive and they die and also kill others. And when you think about this point number, the last point, I think it's so powerful that we should be handling the mental issues as a crisis, such that it is given the right attention, because it seems like it is affecting everything else, that we are spending too much. And even without thinking about the spending, even the loss itself is astronomical. That's what I'm now getting from the statistics.
Thank you very much. That is very powerful, and it is actually very true. It is actually very true. There are very many illnesses that we would stop if we were able to deal with our stresses as they come. We avoid accumulation of these stresses. And if you go, as I said, we are going to continue reading about this. If you go back and read widely on how stress causes illness, you will be even more aware of how bad stress can be. You will realize we are trending on very big grounds, and I thank forums like this, because one of you will be empowered and they will be able to empower a few. Please, if you're working, and that's why I said, if you are in a group that you are the one who organizes your cousins, please, when you have that meeting, get someone to talk to you for 1 hour, and you will realize 2 people will feel touched, or 1, and they will go behind, take the number of that therapist, and they will be able to talk to them. And that those are 2 suicides that have been prevented. If it's in the office, the same. If you are in charge of a few people, let us start taking responsibilities, because it may not be you, it will be the next person, and the next person may be your spouse. And yeah, it is that bad. We need to just wake up and realize that these statistics are real, and this is where we are trending. Anybody else who would want to add on to that?
To add on to that, for me, my observation on the statistics is that even though Kenya, we are in Africa and we are also ignorant about this issue to do with mental health, we are at a very high risk because we are among the top 5. And aside from that, you see in a population of less than 5, we have people who have been, we have at least somebody who has been affected by, who is having a mental health issue or has been affected with mental health. So like we need to be alert, and we need to like safeguard ourselves and continue making the awareness, because if we continue ignoring about this, we do not know where we will be in the next coming years. That's all that I had.
Thank you, Vanessa. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd also like go on.
Mine is a
Hello?
question, RoseAnn.
Yes, Liz.
The last point on statistics is chronic stress is linked to the 5 leading causes of diseases. How do we differentiate chronic stress maybe from, I'm guessing it's chronic and acute stress, eh?
Yeah.
How can you tell the difference between chronic and acute stress?
It is really a thin line, because that acute stress is the one that becomes chronic. Remember, it starts from a small stressor, something you are not able to handle. Then you feel boxed. You then start feeling helpless and useless. And then you start feeling you can't get out of that box. So you get into that state for some time. continue thinking negatively about it, feeling hopeless. Then you go to acute stress, where things you start feeling there's nothing you can do, start losing hope about the issue. You go to chronic stress, and you see it is what word is that? It is a progression. Just like if you don't treat a wound properly, that wound keeps on going. If you don't treat diabetes in time, it continues being progressing into a bigger issue. So it is the same thing. You start with stress, one issue can't handle, it is taking too long to handle, it becomes an acute stress. You continue with it. Remember, as much as you're not handling, it doesn't mean other stressors are not coming. And now you are even more prone because already you have a stressor that you're not able to handle. So you go to chronic stress, and that is what now goes to depression, mild, acute, then you go to chronic depression, then you go to depression with psychosis. You get my point? So it is progression of it. It is chronic because it has stayed for a long time. And as Daniel explained, once your brain has continued releasing these hormones that would help you combat this stress for a long time. And so your body has been in this toxicity for a long time. It's not a one-day thing. Chronic stress means it has been, it is a prolonged state. Daniel? Anyway, Liz, have I answered you?
Sure, you have. Thank you.
Okay. Daniel, you had this up?
Yes, I just want to contribute on something.
Yeah.
On bullet number 3, that's the rate of mental conditions in men. And then I'll look at 5 and 6. One, I think most of the organizations have forgotten the boy child. And even the tradition of how men have been brought, Mwanaume alim, mwanaume ase problems, such a thing. And I think that is contributing a lot into these issues of men, because men are not empowered. And even when you look at the organizations are working on to see that they are empowering the gender, then you find out that man as a gender, the guys are not yet supported nowadays in terms of how to articulate such issues. Then you look at that one of bullet number 5, as said in the and I think this one is also even brought by the society and the parents in terms of expectations. Sometimes we have been having so many to our young people, and yet the support is very minimal. And due to this challenge, then sometimes even they end up killing themselves. When you look at the last bullet, I think personally, the tradition of that tradition of belief that ukishikwa na chronic disease, then wewe unaenda. I think also that contributes to the fact that now when I have a chronic disease that I'll be taking medication for long, or maybe I'll be having pain, then people will also have that kind of belief that my relatives will be thinking that I'll be dying tomorrow, and they'll be living in pain, and that is why even they will have that first. In terms of accidents and suicide, because of that sudden death, maybe because I had expectations to that person, or maybe the kind of relationship I have with that person, though I end up having a lot of stress, chronic stress, and die. But I love the sharing. It's an eye opener. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Yeah, that is very true. And on bullet number 3, it is, we agree that the study has been very much on the girl child. And I think it's the men to start holding these boys' hands so that they don't become what we are seeing right now. So you need to take responsibility. Shika katoto kako, your boy mkono and your nephew mkono. So you tell yourself, you work on yourself first so that you can be able to give them something and be able to empower them emotionally.
Catherine, want to say something?
Yeah, Hi everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be here. My name is Anna Irunga. I am in Seattle. Now, although initially I wanted to speak to the bullet number 3, I don't need to go back because Daniel highlighted it very well. And I was thinking around the issue of culture and how our African culture might be a facilitator to some of these rates, whereby the culture does not allow men to express themselves, but he spoke it very well. So I'll just move over and look around, maybe something I don't see right here in terms of the health, or in terms of the structures, and in terms of policy. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Sorry, I think I muted myself along the way. So in terms of health care and infrastructure, in the sense that we also need as a people and as a government to work with our government and let them mainstream mental health. And this in a way has also to deal with the stigma. Mental health has a lot of stigma to it, but then it also seems to me like the government is also in a way contributes to that. You find that, for instance, the mental health hospitals in Kenya, they're kind of, there's a stigma around Mathari Hospital. There's a stigma around Ward 9 from where I come from. There's a stigma around, it's always, even in the setup, even in the setting of it. So my point is to remove the social stigma. We also need to remove the policy stigma, whereby mental health is mainstreamed with all the other mental conditions. With your permission, I'm just going to give an example of the US and where, particularly where I live, which is Washington State. I mean, mental health, which is like a huge deal. I mean, like almost, I don't know, maybe 60% or maybe 40% of the 320 million population has a condition of it. It's a big deal. You can check out the statistics. But the reason why we deal, or the US deals with it very well, because it's mainstream. There's no special, there's a specialist within the health setting. So in other words, if you're going to Mathari Hospital, it doesn't have to be a standalone. You can be seen the same day that you go to see your HIV doctor, or when you go to see your PT doctor, when you go to see your nutritionist. It's mainstream. And then if there's need for more support in the society, then the patient or the client, then they have more programs following them up, but not kind of showing the whole world, these are mental health patients and they need to be put away at one corner of the hospital, or they need to be under key and lock. So this is my call, and this is my request. Let's also advocate for mainstreaming mental health. And I'm also speaking as a person that has a brother that lives with mental health issues. So this is very passionate. And again, I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity to even be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. That is very powerful, and it is very true. Our policies, although now we are trying to push, but as we all know, our government, it is a lot of push, and it's a lot of advocacy that we need to do. And so as a group of 18, it starts with us. Let's start advocating one person at a time, and until we get there. I think that is what I would say. They are trying to come up with policies and a lot of advocacy, but it's still a slow process. We live in hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Anna. I beg to continue. So having seen the statistics, I think it starts with us. It starts with you. You need to first to work on yourself so that you can help the other person. You can't give anything you don't have. I keep on saying that. And you can't pour from an empty cup. So wacha kwanza tujijue. The symptoms of mental health challenges, where they start from, you get through stressful situations. And then with the time, you start having psychological symptoms like forgetfulness, anger, frustration, anxiety, and there are so many others. Then the physical ones could be headaches, tension, headaches and migraines, stomach problems, over and under eating, sleep disturbances, chronic mild fatigue, unasikianga tu umechoka, muscle aches and pains, and the list goes on. So it is you as a person to identify, nikiwa na stress, when I am stressed, what happens? How do I feel when I'm stressed? How do I know I need to deal with my issues? So it's a process of self-awareness, and I'm hoping after this, everybody will go and start analyzing themselves. Remember, we said it's just like physical illnesses, this can be very progressive. It's also progressive. So hatutaki kufika hapo kwa someone is dealing with depression, or you don't want to go to work, or so let us start from now, start analyzing. If you are not stressed up, if you are not having any challenges, the better, because now you will start from a clean slate and say, I will start Mr. Mugambi. Mugambi. You're saying something.
You can mute him. You can mute him.
Okay. Yeah, so we are saying you start in a clean slate, because you can say, from now on, I'm going to start analyzing myself, and so that I can be self-aware, know when stress is kicking in, so that I can deal immediately and prevent myself from taking these toxins from my system that would come in helping me deal with this stress. So look at, there are very many symptoms I couldn't exhaust, so I just chose to give a few. And everybody has dealt differently. Some people will eat, some others will not eat, others will sleep, others will not sleep, and so on and so forth. So analyze yourself and be aware. So once you feel overwhelmed and you feel like you are not dealing, or this is taking too long to deal or to shake off, please, as I said earlier, it is not when you get stressed. It's not if you get stressed, it is when you get stressed, because these things will keep coming. If you are a parent, every age with its own challenges. So these things will keep coming. Read. If you're, I advocate a lot on learning. If you are a parent and this is your firstborn and that is the time they are becoming a teenager, you have never been a parent of a teenager, please look for resources, read and know how they behave and how you deal. Some of the fights we have with our teenagers is because we do not know that is how they're supposed to be behaving. And so you keep on fighting with them over nothing. If you're a parent and your daughter is getting married, you have never been an in-law of someone, look for resources, talk to your friends on how to deal with some of these things. And then it becomes easier. Let us acknowledge we don't know anything. We don't know much. So we learn with every stage in life. So in seeking help, be self-aware, as I said, get to know when you are almost, you are not able to handle, you are not able to shake it off. Stress is creeping in. Now I'm getting overwhelmed, I need to seek help. Self-care is very important. As I said, you can't give anything you don't have. So make sure you get your me time, take care of yourself, physically, emotionally, mentally, so that you can be good enough to share with the people around you, your spouses, your children, and stuff like that. If you are frustrated, please note that is what you give people around you. Kwa hivyo wacha kukasirika watoto wakikustress ama bibi akustress ama bwana akikustress. That is what you have given and that is what you are getting back. So let us do a lot of self-care, read about it, normalize seeking help from friends, from therapists, from the church, normalize seeking help. But I'm not saying you seek help from anybody. It is where you feel comfortable. It is where you will feel your issues will not be broadcasted. It is where you feel safe. If you feel safe with your brother, If you feel safe with someone in church or your pastor or your therapist, please go and seek help. Instead of waiting for three months and then you have gastritis and then you go to the doctor and pay 4,000 for medication for gastritis, please go to the therapist in the second session, in the second month when you are not able to handle things, and pay that 3,000 and have your issues handled. It is easier that way. So normalize seeking help. Know your triggers. As I said, be self-aware so that you can know your triggers. Unajua hapa inakiuka, and be aware of available resources. We have rehab centers, we have free counseling centers, we have, the churches have counselors. So be aware of available resources where you can be able to go and offload and seek help and get a different opinion. To be honest, some of the stresses we have is because we've not been able to look at it objectively, because we are in it and we can't be objective. When you talk to somebody else, they start asking you, have you thought, have you tried, can you, and then suppose, and then you realize, kumbe, I had options. So be aware of all the other available resources. How to identify close friends who need help. It is very important because, as I said earlier, we are getting to a point where someone does something and you're asking, how comes I didn't see? So how to identify close friends who need help or family. Sometimes it's previous traumatic incidences in life. If a friend has had a miscarriage, they've had a bad breakup, they have had loss and grief, please reach out after some time, after you think they have been able to process, after everybody else has disappeared. Please go back and ask, how are you doing? How did you deal? Talk about it and sometimes you will be shocked. You open that can and someone just comes out crying and you are thinking, I thought you had dealt. And I'm not saying you are going to help, you're just going sometimes to be there and sometimes to help them seek help. Another thing that is very important is withdrawal. Many people and I think most of us have gone through that. When you are stressed, when you are overwhelmed, you just want to withdraw. Either you want to be in your bedroom alone, either people are planning to go somewhere and at the last minute you cancel, you don't want to go. Some of us, me included, feel like, I just want to be alone. Can I just delete my WhatsApp and my social media account so that I can just be alone? It is the way human beings are wired. When we are overwhelmed, it is when we need help the most, but the way we are wired, we want to run away. It is the escapism in our minds, wanting to run away from the stress is what makes us want to run away physically from the people around us. It's not our fault, it's the way we are created. Loss of sense of humor. If there are people who crack jokes, it is not there anymore. The smiles have gone. Withdraw from hobbies or group activities. You are planning to do something, then they have last minute cancellations. I say, if you have a date with someone the first time, and the second time they cancel, and the third time they are canceling, you need to tell them, I am going to come wherever you are at. Let us reach out. Cues for call for help. Some people will make statements like, I'm losing the will to live, or do I just have to wake up tomorrow? Some of those statements are really, really loaded and you need to explore. They look unkept. Someone who used to have it all together and nowadays they don't have it all together. It is the clutter that they have in their mind that reflects on the outside, and so you don't have to keep on telling them, aki siku hizi unajiwekanisha unavaanga aje. It is they are crying out for help. Zoning out during conversations, they look lost in thought. Ati umesema, what were you saying, and stuff like that. So there are many others, but when something happens, when that person snaps, when that person commits suicide and you didn't see, please don't beat yourself. It is true that sometimes you will not see. Some people are very good in hiding their issues. They have mastered it and you will not see. So I am not saying that you will have to see. There are those that you will not see. But those that you can be able to see, please reach out and help. But remember, you must have helped yourself first. So start with yourself. Even Jesus said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So there's that understanding that you love yourself. So start with yourself and then go to the other person. As I said, you may not see, don't beat yourself. Such is life, it happens. Kuteleza sio kuanguka sana, ukianguka lazima tuinuke na tuendelee. So those are just some of them, how you can identify a close friend who needs help. Sometimes they will show and you will not see because you're also handling your own issue. How to not well unakaa umechizi nikupeleke Madhare. Sometimes we joke about it and sometimes it's not funny. You know, very much to add. You go home during Easter and
You're unmuted. I think you probably have been having a network issue.
Okay, I will resolve it right now. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay, good. Yeah, maybe as you're preparing, I think there are other causes in the present day that include peer pressure. You look at the people maybe with whom you schooled and you think they are doing much better than you and you start getting stressed. Yeah. And I think there are also some other causes like maybe a sense of guilt. I remember, was it last Sunday or last Sunday, but one when our priest said, it's realized that Catholics are least affected amongst the churchgoers because of the sacrament of confession. They at least get an opportunity to go and offload. And I've also learned about a priest who, when people were, people got this terminal, what we call terminal ailments. If you went to him, he would ask you, whom are you holding in your heart? It seems like you haven't forgiven somebody. There are people you are carrying, you've not forgiven. And you realize that all that is related to our minds and emotions, which affects our mental health status. Ready?
Yes. Yeah, so I was saying, do not ignore those cues. I talked about the way we ignore when we go to the village and our parents have started forgetting. We don't take that as a cue for dementia and we ignore it. We go back months later and it has progressed. Reach out to friends and relatives. That assumption of ulipata pesa ukajikalisha, let us stop it. People are really struggling. And when you're saying that careless statement, suffer for 2 days. So let's be mindful and let's be kind. Get involved in other people's life, in your close circles, because then when they commit suicide, you are the same people to quickly say, how comes we didn't see? Until they close you off completely and there's nothing you can do, and these are people who are very close to you, please keep on trying. Friendship is expensive, work on it, invest in it. This one is in regard to people who are going through mental issues, and you have realized this person is going through a mental health issue. Those people, they are helpless and hopeless at that point. So you getting my contact as a counselor and sharing, wacha nikutumia namba ya counselor umpigie simu, sometimes it doesn't work. And 2 weeks down the line, you're asking, did you call? She says or he says no, and you are getting angry that sasa nilimtumia namba ya counselor na she's not trying. What am I supposed to do? There's a lot you can do, because that is your friend, that is your family, and you just need a little push. Sometimes it calls for you taking that person to a therapist, sitting with them the first session, the second session, and then they realize they are getting help, they will take themselves to the third session. We need to understand that at that point, they are really helpless, they are very hopeless. You are not dealing with that person and 100% anymore. Ni kama mtu amevunjika mguu, you can't start telling them, and a kitchen, you have to support them to start walking. It's the same thing. And I think when we compare our physical and our emotional mental well-being, and we realize they are very parallel, we are able to understand where people are coming from and how they are dealing. When you're telling that person to snap out, is telling someone who has had a broken hand, you can start going to the farm and digging there. It is not possible. They will need physio, they will need a lot of support so that they can be able to work with the same hand. It is the same thing. They need your support. Friendship is expensive. Go the extra mile. It doesn't help when you can't talk with them anymore because they have snapped or they have committed suicide. Social support is very important. If you realize someone is really bad, pull muscles, pull your cousins, pull your other friends so that you can see how you can offer that social support and seek help on their behalf. As I say, that is what I was talking about. Friendship is expensive. You may have to go the extra mile to see how you can help. And sometimes you will have to ask people how you can help your person. So it is one day at a time. It is work in progress every day. Other people I couldn't forget is caregivers. There are people among us, like Anna said, the brother is going through something, and it is not easy to be a caregiver to a person with a mental health condition. One, because we don't even understand it very well. So rarely do we know what we expect from them, or how we expect them to change, or how they are dealing. You know, it is not we are not able to say, Nikama, when you have a broken leg, this is the process and this is how it is. So it is strenuous for them. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of anxiety. It is not easy. So for caregivers, they need a lot of self-care. They need time to recharge. If it's a parent who has dementia or a child who has autism or stuff like that, if you are a caregiver, you need time to pull out from that. It is not, please, if you feel guilty of doing that, if you feel bad that you have abandoned them, you need to deal with that. Because as I said, you can't give anything that you don't have. So the minute you continue being there and you are continuing having burnout day by day, frustrated because now you are fatigued, that is the same thing you are not giving. You are not any good to them. So have time to pull out, work on yourself, recharge, even if it's 1 day or 2 days. Get someone who you trust to take care of that person so that you can come back, recharge, and be able to continue with the journey. Bless you, because that is a task given to you by God. Be aware of available resources for support. Counseling centers that are for free, where you can go debrief. There are homes now where you can leave such a person for 1 day or a weekend when you go and recharge, if you don't have anybody you can live with, or facilities that can give you a nurse to deal with for 2 days and stuff like that. Knowledge is power. Please, as I said, read about the condition your person is having so that you can be able, because when you don't have that knowledge, that is what causes anxiety. So please read and empower yourself so that you have the power to deal with that person without any qualms. Get time for debriefing. Yeah, look for a therapist who works with you, or a pastor or a church leader, or a very personal friend who can work with you through that journey, because it cannot be easy. Get hobbies or fun things to do to keep sane once in a while. Many of us, when we get into these hustles of the world, if you ask me what my hobby is, sometimes you hear somebody else, my hobby, I think I love, we let it disappear. It's still something we need to do to feed ourselves. Self-care is very important. You can't give from an empty cup. Please remember that. Join support groups. Most of these mental health conditions have established support groups of someone who have ever gone through that, and now they want to empower other people, or someone who has that condition and is able to empower other people, or counselors or caregivers of people who've gone through such issues and they want to give support to other groups. So those groups are there, join them. They are very empowering. People share their experiences, and it is also a way of debriefing. Are we together? Finally, be gentle with yourself. All of us are struggling and doing the best we can. Be patient. Humans are incredibly complicated organisms, unpredictable even on your best days, and we will not always respond in the same way. Yeah, be kind. People are different. If you're able to deal with an issue very fast, other people may not be able to deal with it as fast as you can. You will find a family lose a loved one, say a mother, and one person shakes it off and is able to go on with life. The other person is mourning 2 years later, and you're thinking, really? The other person is telling the other person, you see, we finished those things. Why do you keep on carrying it? And yeah, people deal differently. So be patient, be grateful. Many spiritual traditions urge cultivating a practice of gratitude, something as simple as finding 3 things each day, however small, to be thankful for. Gratitude can shift an entire worldview towards greater trust bit by bit. I think that is self-explanatory. Gratitude is very important. Remember, we are wired negatively. Human beings are more negative than positive, and that is why you'll find books like The Art of Positive Thinking, because it's not easy. It's something that you would need to cultivate. It's something I find people talking about every time: how to be grateful, how to attract greatness, how to be positive, how to start your day with positive affirmations and stuff like that. We are wired negatively. We are about to go that way. So it is a lot of work to go the other way. Be vulnerable. We form our deepest connections with others, not around our accomplishments or successes, but around our experiences of suffering. We bond when we share stories of those experiences with one another. You will find many people saying, at my worst or at my lowest, that is when I realized who my friends are, right? So yeah, when you get those friends, be vulnerable around them, and allow others to be vulnerable around you by giving empathy, not being judgmental, not belittling other people's issues. There's no right or wrong feeling. When you feel sad, it is sadness, and it is a proper feeling, maybe for that moment. If a loved one dies, or if your job goes, or if your child is unwell, what are you supposed to be feeling? So there's no wrong or right feeling. Although there's no wrong feeling, all those feelings are supposed to be there, but we tend to embrace the happiness, the peace, and all that kind of stuff, and we don't seem to embrace the negative feelings. They are there to be felt, they are not, but they are there not to be felt for so long. So when sadness comes, sit with it, and when time comes for it to go, tell it, hey, it is time to go, and I need to deal with this issue. Be kind. When we notice someone else, even for just a moment, in a shared glance or holding open a door, we are lifted out of our own loneliness and a bit closer into the human community. So be kind. I've seen those memes going around that be kind, everybody is going through an issue. So don't project your issues on others, listen to others, and just be kind. So I want to thank you for that 1 and 20 minutes. and I'm ready for questions and a lot of sharing.
Thank you very much. I think we can start with the questions that were typed. Some few people typed questions, and let me just read one from Mercy.
Yeah.
What's the difference between mental illness and madness?
Mental illness is a term used for all the many mental, emotional, and mood conditions. That's how I would put it. And there are many. Oh God, there are so many. If you use the DSM-5, it's from the American Psychological Association. There are so many mental illnesses or mental conditions. Madness, it's not even a proper word we use in psychology, because all those that word madness has thrown me off, sorry. Because people will call psychosis madness. People will call schizophrenia madness. People will call bipolar madness. So I think it's a word we use for mental illnesses, but it's not the proper word to use for mental illnesses, because a mood disorder, an anxiety disorder, and personality disorder may be a mental condition, and it is not necessarily madness. So I would say their mental illnesses cannot qualify to be called madness, and I don't feel comfortable with that word. Thank you.
Maybe the right way to put it is madness can be mental illness, but mental illness is not madness necessarily. Yeah, because there are extremes. The extremes at every level of magnitude. So at another level, now somebody is really broken down and the brain is changed. It's now is run berserk. But it doesn't always have to reach there, and it doesn't have to be always like that. Mental illness or mental health generally has just to do with the status of our minds. Are we feeling all right, or are we feeling not all right? And what are we doing about it? The idea that we are in a position to take charge of our mood, take charge of our feeling. We know when to feel sad and when to stop feeling sad. That becomes you are taking charge of yourself. That is now being healthy. And I remember somebody once said, if you are a born-again warrior, yani you love worrying so much, you can set even a day in a week when you worry, and you just on that day, let's say it's a Wednesday or a Tuesday evening, you sit in your worry corner and you worry, and after that you get out and you forget about it. You wait for your next session of worry. But madness is really extreme. Yeah. So thank you. Actually, she went ahead to say, where do you categorize people who may walk naked on the markets, that is in the markets, or talk to themselves, basically wanaoitwa wenda wazimu in Kiswahili or vernacular? Yes, that's exactly what we've just said. So mental illness, madness is an extreme case of mental illness. And by the way, this condition that we talk about, mental health, is what manifests in almost every situation, every conflict that we see. Most of them, if those people had emotional intelligence, if they were healthy in their minds, they would be able to avoid them. We see a lot of fights. We see people crushing themselves. We see families collapsing. We see children going haywire. To an extent, by the way, I've always said that even these people who wake up and say that I am a boy and all along they were girls, or somebody wakes up and says I'm a girl, all along they were boys, it's all manifestation of mental illness, but the degrees differ and they need help, and we can always look for help for them. Thank you. Yes, Catherine, are you saying something? Okay, anybody else who wants to say something?
Mugambi, your hand is up.
Oh yeah, Edna here wanted to say something.
Can I go first?
Oh yes, you can go first.
All right, sorry, I was muted. I thank you so much, Rose, for the conversation that you've taken us through. Opened our mind to so many things that happen around us, and most of the time we are not aware and even know how to take care of such instances when they happen in our families, in our office spaces where we work with other people and our friends at their homes. Now, my question, with a little bit of the background that I have in as a lawyer, I just wanted to find out your interaction, especially now that in the field of, from the legal side, how well as a country, in terms of policy and infrastructure and institutions, we've been able to take care of such people. Because when I look at what we have as the Mental Health Act, which is a piece of legislation that was set up quite a number of years ago, intended to care, for the care of people with the mental issues, management of their affairs, their estates. Can we say as a country, we really are in a position where we really protect such people? Of course, when I talk like this, what I have in mind is what you said earlier, that when we talk about mental illness, our minds jump to the severe extreme, not the subliminal, the ones that happen to us and to people around us on a regular basis. But for the extreme cases, in your experience and in your opinion, are we really taking care of them? Is there something which can be done? Because when you even look at that law, it's quite old. In fact, I even taking this conversation as a challenge to those of us who are in this field, in terms of what can be done even to review some of the laws that we have that we borrowed from the colonialists a long time ago, and we still have them. Are they adequate? Do we have that infrastructure in terms of policy institutions to take care of these people, and is it adequate? And thank you so much again for the conversation you've taken us through.
You're most welcome, Mugambi. Those laws have been there, and as much as I remember, last year, 2019, there was an act in Parliament that was being debated on counseling issues. Of course, as any other profession, when a profession is being established and the laws are being laid, there's a lot of politics. And I think because of those politics, I have had to go to steps behind, because it's not my cup of tea. But all I know is that there's advocacy that's going on. As last year, there was a board that was established with Frank Jagger being the chairman. He's the main advisor to the president on issues mental health. I remember last time them saying we need to, if mental health issues needs to be announced as a, what do we call it? A crisis, a national crisis. So there has been that advocacy going on, and especially in the last 2 years. And we are still waiting to see how it goes and how those boards are established. The last time the issue was that the mental health board was mainly being handled by doctors and not mental health experts. So there's still that, and we are hoping maybe within another 1 year, all those things will have settled. Having said that, as a society, this is not something we really talk about, mental health issues. So there are people you will tell there is that act where their issues are protected and they are not aware. So we let them go to the drain. Apart from previously, I know TSC was really fighting for people with mental health issues, like they will be put off work and their salaries will still be coming in, and the union will have people who will manage the accounts for these people, and it can't be one person, it has to be a number of people, and it is followed up. TSC, I know, used to do that, but as it's still a challenge, and as Anna said, and it's a lot of advocacy and a long way to go. That is what I would say about that issue.
Thank you. And I think, Mr. Mugambi, this is the first step. You know, I remember we've been discussing with RoseAnn and a few others that about the national mental health week, mental health day for promotion, so that people can be aware, so that we can reach that level where we are able to even identify the pieces of legislation that needs to be put together. For some reason, it's still something that has been put in the back burner. Adding to what Anna Irungu had just said, something that even the policies are so inadequate that even the seclusion of their wards, their consultants, so that when you're going there, there is already a stigma. Today, we know that if somebody is arrested with something like maybe attempted murder or something, they must be taken through assessment of mental whatever, and all those things contribute towards the stigma. But I think this conversation, as we keep holding it, it's going to reach where people like you who are in that field, and everyone in every field, I always feel for the police officers, they must be under a lot of mental stress, mental illness issues. Nobody cares for them. I think about the doctors, the medics. I think about teachers in school, and lots of other people need this, but it's a conversation that hasn't been really promoted amongst our society or our community. So I think this is just the first step, and thank you for that question. The next person is Edna.
Edna.
I hope you can hear me, Anne.
Yes, I can, Edna.
Yeah, thank you so much for the discussion. I just wanted your opinion on somebody whom I realized from the cues that she could be calling for help. This is a friend from college, and we've not been interacting actively for quite a number of years, over 10 years now. Though we speak once in a while, is a single mother. There's loss of income, and I think stress because she also lost her parents recently. So I tried talking to her yesterday. I had a conversation that took over 30 minutes, just trying to encourage her. And she was not open. She's just closed. At times, I think I'm talking to myself. I ask her whether she's still around, and she would just say, like she's not open to a conversation. So how do you deal with such a person? How do you encourage them now to go for help? And there's also a barrier in terms of accessibility, because we are not in Nairobi. I'm in Nairobi, she's in Kakamega. So there's also that accessibility barrier. I can't say I can go and see her in her house. Thank you.
So Edna, is there anybody you know who is close to her?
Not for
in
now.
Kakamega?
No.
Okay, because the proper way now to do it is either if there's someone who is close to her in Kakamega, they would sit with her and just listen. And maybe the reason why she's just saying is because she doesn't feel like you are talking to, or you are understanding her or something. And as I said, they have a lot of hopelessness. And so for you to lift that person from that place to where they feel you and they start, that hope starts sinking, is a lot of work to do. You can't do it in 30 minutes. But you can still continue reaching out, still continue chatting her up, tell her you are concerned, show her the empathy, tell her you may not be able to help with the loss and grief because you are not empowered from that point, but you would wish she's able to seek help, and then continue looking for that, continue with that conversation. What you would do is pick my number, and once you're having that conversation and you hit us null, let me know so that we can look for another corner to approach it from. I think that is what I would say, because you're not with her.
Thanks, Rose.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Catherine?
Yes, now Daniel
Kiriongi.
Yes, that one.
As part of the training, I will teach you how to pronounce my name so that
Yes, yes.
so that you don't stress me. Anyway, so this is a great session, and thank you so much for the very rich information you have given us, RoseAnn. So I wanted to ask the other side of the story. So these issues of mental health, especially at the workplace, we have tried to sensitize people a lot. But now my observation is that there's a crop of individuals who are now coming up and I would say, quote unquote, taking advantage. Because, you know, if it is identified it's a mental health issue, someone is going through issues and all, even the HR procedures will be softer in a way. Then you'll find that this person, they will try and take advantage of that awareness. And anytime they are not on the right path, they will, and you try to approach it from a managerial perspective. This is someone who can actually start crying and pretend. Then they will say, I don't know, it's a cousin of a cousin that who have been very close to me and they are going through issues now. They can create whatever story. Now, from where we sit, you are not really an expert to actually deduce an actual case vis-a-vis. You know, we live in a country that is full of corruption. And corruption is also in that where someone is trying to take advantage of a station to bed their roles or not to give their best. So how would you advise people who are managing people on how, number one, to be empathy, to show empathy to employees from a mental health perspective, but also retain the professionalism of that this work have to be done anyway. And number two, how do you deal with that category that, you know, now you are no longer even sure whether is this person, you know, if you get one or two, three people who are behaving that way, you may now start becoming insensitive, and even the actual needed case, you may start treating it like maybe ni kama yule mwingine tu. So how do you draw that line so that you are not ignoring the needy cases, but you're also able to identify those that are actually not really.
Yes, thank you, Daniel, for that question. And I would say it is a difficult balance for you as a supervisor, a manager, or wherever you are at. Because again, even when you think this is not a genuine case, how do you communicate it is not a genuine case? To curb that, maybe I would say, one, you have to separate yourself. Because again, if you start carrying the baggage of one person, you may carry the baggage of the whole department, of the whole organization. And if they learn, human beings of opportunities and taking advantage, they will take that route, as you're saying. So there are ways to deal with it. One, you can have, and this is, I've seen it work, and you having a counselor that you refer these clients to. Remember, many of us do not embrace that route of counselors. So the minute someone starts coming with issues and you refer them to a therapist and they don't go, then at that point, you are like, I offered help and you did not. And so what do you want us to do? And the same counselor then is able to guide, because there's continuity and it is outside support. They're able to guide you on what areas you need to address if it's an organization. Because if, as a counselor consulting for an organization, I have 2-3 cases on the same issue, then I need to tell the management, we need a training on this so that then we can curb it or we can prevent it. So you as a department head and a manager, the minute you start coming in too much into people's issues, they are going to overwhelm you. And of course, because there are many, maybe this is where we are talking about you looking for outside support. It may be for a very small cost. The organizations that you can engage with that can be able to give that support. I know there is the employee wellness programs, there is a referral programs, and there are the training programs that can be scheduled to support you on that area. Are you there?
Thank you. Yeah, he should be there.
Yeah, that
unless
is
otherwise.
Daniel.
Yeah, but the answer, I think that answer was great. Daniel,
It's clear, very clear. I think that approach of separating issues is actually the smartest way of handling it. That you refer issues to the professional.
Yes.
Yes, because otherwise kila mtu atakuja na issues zake, so you can either call external resource. I've seen other organizations, big organizations, organize for what they call peer counseling training. So various heads or supervisors are brought together to be able to learn a little bit about mental health and how they can handle such situations. More or less like what we are going through, but it's now a longer version, a day or 3 days. And then now they are able to identify where there is genuine issue and they handle it, because again, it's also dangerous to ignore. So I think that answer is quite appropriate. Thank you. Now I see Catherine's hand has been up. Catherine, go ahead.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I only have a few points to put across and also something to ask, especially what do we do about the counseling cost? Because sometimes you have some young people who need help, but they cannot afford the charges. So it's usually a problem. And also I volunteer in the community, and sometimes you find the children offices, they're so understaffed. I think that's an issue with our government, maybe not looking at this thing as the crisis it is. They're usually overwhelmed all the time. And I also urge us to be our brothers and sisters keepers, because some people don't even know that they're having issues until you point them to them, you point out to them, and it takes time. And most of the time, these people don't want to go to the professionals. So sometimes you're forced to be like a go-between. You get the issue from the person, you're advised by a counselor who is willing to join with you, and then again, you go back to the person, especially a case where medication will not be required. And another thing that's a problem right now,
Catherine?
It's also like a pandemic, not even a feel of the reality nowadays. So I don't know, what do we do about that? Who is supposed to be empowered? Is it the parents? Is it the people in the community? We are having a big problem. Thank you.
I lost you on the last question.
Sorry,
I was for some minutes.
Okay. So I was saying you're having a pandemic with our teens and youths because they're living a virtual world in the social media, where what they portray is not what they're living in reality. So what do we do about that? Is it that we empower our church leaders, our community elders? Who do we reach out to be able to talk to them? Because we keep saying wanajifanya, yeah, that's the only life they know, to be there on the internet and relate with those people, and getting depressed because someone didn't like my photo. Yeah.
I will start with the last one. It is a wholesome approach, because remember, they are having these gadgets because as parents have let them be, and we have let them be without managing them. So you go to work in the morning and you have left the internet and those gadgets at home, and you're busy, you come late, and you know it can't be just empowering. It can't just be dealing with the teens. It is a wholesome approach from church to the parents, to the school, and to the teens themselves. It is not a one way. What I'm saying working is really mentorship programs for the youth, but you don't start with them at, it is still there, it is starting at 17, but the best thing is starting with them when they are younger. So you take a group of youth at 10 and then you journey with them. By the time they are getting to 15, 16, you have already empowered them. Those are key years for them to be able to to have their own identity, not to bow to peer pressure, to be focused and stuff like that. But when they are at 17, 18, 19, they're already way too gone. We say, hiyo methali ya mti ukiwa mdogo
atakuwa mkubwa.
You are worse than me in Swahili. So yes, I have seen now those mentorship programs working for the kids, because of course we can't abandon them, because as parents are not doing it, and as parents are not, unless I really want to be guided and to be engaged, I will not. So that is what I would say. The church can really come in, because, you know, in the church, you have the masses. If you want to reach the masses, you go to church. So the church can really come in if they are focused and they get the right programs.
Thank you very much. I know this is a conversation we cannot finish, and I see others join towards the end. We've recorded it, and it was also on Facebook Live, so we don't have, you haven't missed, you can always go and review. And Rose, you haven't given your number out, so that people can always reach out to you for any additional information. Yeah, there it is.
My number is there.
Yes. Rose
Daniel,
is the
if you need
founder.
more help there, I will help.
You didn't comment on the cost of counseling.
Yeah.
You didn't comment on the issue you have. The cost of counseling is usually so high. Are there organizations?
There are organizations
that maybe
I
do
think,
it pro bono.
Yeah, when I said about knowing the resources around you, it is those facilities are there. Most of them, because like if I take 2 pro bonos in a month, it's already too much. If I want to journey that person with that person, those are already like 5 sessions per month, and those will be 20 sessions, 10 sessions with 2 people only. So when that time comes, mostly I refer to Kenyatta, I refer to CITAM, I refer to, there's this church on Kenyatta Avenue, the Anglican Church. So most churches now are having pro bono services. The city council also has come up, the Ministry of Health also has come up with those facilities, and they are in the counties. So the county hospitals are having those facilities for free counseling. Not well established, but it is there. Red Cross also has a call center that offers those services. So those facilities are there if you look for them.
Yes, thank you very much. I think it's already 8. We can proceed to close. If somebody has a question, I think we can handle it aside. So at this moment, I want to call one of our members in the Family Life group, and that is Daniel. You said you are teaching me to call your name, but you haven't. So let me practice it again. Kiriungi. Yes, to give a vote of thanks to RoseAnn. Thank you.
You are almost there. You actually got it. You now have 99%. Well done. Congratulations. What can I say? Roslyn, this have been a very, sorry, RoseAnn. I don't know why I'm. It has been a great session. Please don't find me for mentioning your name right. If you do, I will say that it was as a result of pressure, and I was having some mental, so that you'll have mercy on me. As you said, we have to remain empathetic. Thank you for great wealth of knowledge that you have shared with us. I know this information, as one of the speakers said, is usually cost very expensively, and you have been very kind on us to give it and to us for free. That is now, as the Bible says, you do unto them. If you do unto this retro, you are doing it unto me. And therefore, with the power given to me by the God who created me and made me a Christian, I lift you up to the altar of God and say that may He bless you abundantly from heaven all the days of your life, and may you continue saving many more lives as you go ahead, because this will actually be, as you have shown in the statistics, fixing the mental issues will fix the nation, and we are grateful. I urge our members in the House to embrace these sessions more and to ensure we put into practice our lessons. I always tell people, nobody was born knowing everything, but reading a lot will help. Let us be very hungry and thirsty of information. We have to make mental health and mental wellness part of our daily meals so that we can be able to be in a good position to learn and to help our families. As a family institution, we have a huge obligation to take care of our kids, our members. I was reading a book by Pastor Simon Bev, and he was saying one of the roles of a dad is actually to protect. And protection in the context of this day is actually protecting our children, our family, our spouses from mental issues, because you can see once they get the mental issues, they will be attacked by many, many other things. So in terms of protection, then we need to protect them from that can actually cause them great havoc. And finally, you also know how to protect yourself. Again, I usually give an example of if you go on a flight and those ladies are telling you direction in case of an incident, what to do. It is always insisted that if there is an incident, you must first of all start by putting the gas mask yourself. And the concept is simple. When your gas mask is in place, you can save many, many more people. But even if you have your child, you have not taken care of yourself, by the time you are saving your kid, you might also collapse and you end up not saving the kid, nor even you. So let's take it seriously that we take care of our mental issues ourselves. Be fit, eat well, sleep well, exercise where, so that you are able to be fit and all, and your mental hormones will come that are still good ones, and that way when you are okay, you are able to take care of a bigger family. When you are very sick, as RoseAnn kept saying, you can only give what you have. I therefore don't want to add more, but to say thank you to everyone also for attending and making it worth the evening. And may you have a very, very blessed weekend ahead. And may God do you wonders. Have a beautiful one. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Daniel, for thanking RoseAnn on my behalf and on behalf of the group. And also thanking all the people who attended. We always have sessions like this in various topics. The last Friday of the month in the evening, we begin at 6, but the discussion starts at 6:15. So you can always tune in. Now I'd like to call somebody to give us the final prayers that we may depart. Is this Bernadette Wairimu, my sister, or another one whom I don't know? Bernadette? I wonder if she's there. Then I would call, I don't know whether the figures are able to hear. Maybe they can give a remark and give closing prayer. Hao watu wako wapi? Chris, can you give us closing prayer?
Hi, Peter Paul.
Yes, who is that?
We can hear you.
Oh, no, but where is she? Naona mmemute.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Okay, please, yeah, you can give final comments, then you pray. Thank you.
All right. Let me put on the video so that you believe I am here and present. I think what we would want to say is really thank Ann Rose for what she has taken us through. It was a great talk. And it's something that, because it's here with us, something that we're going to implement and also spread amongst others that may be having similar issues. So thank you very much for that talk. We really appreciate.
You're most welcome, and it was my pleasure. It was interesting, and I've also learned a lot. And now I see you, I know you. It was nice.
All right, I know you too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So shall I pray?
Yes, please.
All right, let us pray. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Our Father and our God, we come before your presence this hour of the night. We glorify and honor your holy name, for you are the most holy, and there is none other. We thank you for the day you've given us. Even Father, as we repent of the sins we've sinned against you up to this moment, whether knowingly or unknowingly, please forgive us, blot them out from far, and take them far away from us, for as far as the east is from the west. We thank you for your everlasting love. We thank you for the assurance that we are your children, your beloved children. Thank you for this moment you've given us to sit and talk about issues that are affecting our community, Father. Thank you that you have allowed Rose to come in and talk to us and share what her knowledge and her practice. Thank you, King of Glory, even for the organizations of this talk, for Peter Paul and all those working hard, Father, to bring this knowledge to us. How we seek that you shall bless them. You shall, Father, take care of them. How we pray that you shall bless all those that are here present, and even those that had the desire but were not able to make it. We pray that you bless us this night, Father. And even as we part this night, we seek for a peaceful night from you. And we pray that even as the time to sleep comes, you may give us sleep, for you give sleep to your beloved. We honor and we glorify you, Father, and commit all our ways into thee. Teach us to trust in you. And Father, help us to reach out to those that are struggling with issues in the best way we can. May your Holy Spirit be our guide. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.